Today on Building the Open Metaverse.
What I saw was the opportunity to do something better. The PCVR and slapping a phone in front of your eye, which was doing a standalone headset. All the processing, connectivity, displays made for VR are all put in one device.
Welcome to Building the Open Metaverse, where technology experts discuss how the community is building the open metaverse together. Hosted by Patrick Cozzi and Marc Petit.
Hello and welcome back, Metaverse builders, dreamers, and pioneers. I am Marc Petit, and this is my co-host, Patrick Cozzi.
Hey, Marc. Always a pleasure to be here.
You are listening to Building the Open Metaverse Season 5, the podcast, which is your portal into open virtual worlds and spatial computing, bringing you the people and the projects that are on the front lines of building the immersive internet of the future, that open and interoperable metaverse for all that we all want.
And today we have a very special guest joining us on that mission, Hugo Swart from Qualcomm, where he is VP and GM of XR and Metaverse. Hugo, welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. Hi, Marc, Patrick, and everyone that is listening to the show. First of all, big congratulations to you guys. I really love this the show, and I'm very happy to be here. Very happy to discuss how to bring the industry together and create the open metaverse.
So please describe for us in your own terms your journey to the metaverse.
Well, I'm gonna start early 2000. Okay, metaverse, of course, just a very selected people would think about VR. But why am I gonna start then? I started my career with mobile, right? When we were transitioning from computing on a PC to computing in mobile. My first job was to evangelize wireless data technology, meaning how to get internet to the phone. And early 2000 is remarkably similar to the challenges and to what we're doing right now in creating XR and the metaverse. The use cases, many people would think about navigation and how I communicate and playing games and taking pictures. But look, early 2000s, the processors were not ready. The displays were not ready. And even the communication, there was a path to it. And it was not overnight that we got this marvel that is the smartphone, into everyone's hands. It was year over year improvement around these vectors of computing processors, right? The connectivity, displays, the whole infrastructure, and of course the content. But it does happen, right? When everyone sees the use case, the value to consumer, the investment continues, and that's where I started my career. So about, I want to say 7-10 years around the wireless data, when I saw this full transformation happen. And then I moved to a division at Qualcomm that was incubating new businesses beyond phone. So using our technology, our processor in new market segments. Started with smart TV kind of business. The first Amazon Fire TV actually had a Snapdragon on it. And then around 2015, while trying to incubate, this new businesses at Qualcomm, then there was, if you remember, one of the first waves of hype on virtual reality. And with the Facebook acquiring Oculus and the PlayStation VR one, and a lot of cardboard. And back then, what I saw was the opportunity to do something better than PCVR, better than slapping a phone in front of your eye, which was doing a standalone headset, where all the processing, fast connectivity, displays made for VR are all put in one device. So then I started with one of my partners, Gore-Tech, they're ODM, and we built the reference design. 2016, we announced that reference design at IFA. It already had 6DoF, running locally with reasonably good graphics, with a Snapdragon 820 That was the first product that we used. And then that's, to me, that was the big catalyst for the standalone VR category. Then you saw Oculus Go launching with Snapdragon 820. You saw there was a Daydream VR headset following, a reference design. HTC with their Vive focus device. Pico with their, so all following that first concept of a standalone, and then things start to pick up, right? I mean, I think that there was a clear benefit of having a standalone VR headset versus slapping a phone on the face. There was a clear benefit versus not the same graphic levels, but the ease of use of comparing to a PC VR, and then things just grew organically, naturally, in volumes and in functionality. And again, I'm going to go back to the mobile days, where year over year, generation over generation, you start to see, almost step level of improvements on the hardware side. And with the hardware getting better, content gets better. So that's a little bit of the history. So then from that incubation of a VR standalone headset, we decided to create a separate business unit at Qualcomm dedicated to XR. And then I started to focus 100% of my time in XR, really passionate about it, really looking forward to see now the transition from mobile into Metaverse/XR.
Very cool journey, and I agree wholeheartedly about the standalone VR headsets. We were wondering if Qualcomm has such breadth and depth, and if you could maybe do a high-level overview to help bring our audience up to speed.
Qualcomm is not your the brand that everyone recognizes when sitting at the dinner table and talking about products and companies out there. But Qualcomm is a key foundational technology provider to various industries. And when I say technology, is of course our bread and butter is the silicon, right? The processors with connectivity, but it's also core technology. We have a big R&D team on anything from connectivity, from the second generation of cellular communication with CDMA to 3G, 4G, 5G, already working on 6G, but Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, satellite communication. So communication, actually, that's where the name came from, Quality Communications, that's Qualcomm, and that's how the company started. But then, as we saw communication products, meaning your cell phone, become more and more capable with more and more processing on it, that became a core part of our business, doing processors. We have our own GPU, right? Adreno's GPUs. We have camera IPs, video IPs. When we build a processor, it's not just, a CPU. It's not just, a graphics card. It's all in one. It's a SoC, right? An SoC. And that means we have deep expertise in each of these areas. It's like we have a graphics company inside Qualcomm. We have a camera company inside Qualcomm. All these specialties are really, really, deep, and we create that. AI is another one, right? That as we talk about AI, both in the context of XR, but everywhere, that's something we're investing a lot. But okay, so we produce, the silicon, right? These processors with communication. We call it, we're enabling the intelligent, connected edge, right? And when we say the edge, when we say edge, we mean, devices, right? It could be your car. That's a big area where Qualcomm is growing a lot. Of course, phones, where, great majority of premium Android phones are using our Snapdragon processors, watches, industrial products, IoT products. So Qualcomm, we see it as ourselves as an ecosystem enabler, right? Is the behind the scenes technology provider that create new industries, and that's kind of what we do, and what we're aiming for with the XR and the metaverse as well.
Well, thank you for that, Hugo, because Qualcomm is such an important company in our industries, because, as you say, it's an enabler of so many things. So just give us a sense of the size in terms of people. How big is Qualcomm today?
Well, we are above 40,000 people. Revenue last year $44 billion, and in a very interesting and good position to lead the digital transformation. Right, the same kind of transformation that we started and built on phones. Now, as you need more and more intelligent connected devices, that's what we're enabling across the industries and the world.
So at Qualcomm, you have talked about your vision for XR as the next compute platform, and you have been a very, very strong advocate of accelerating and opening the XR ecosystem to make this vision a reality. So how is this going?
I talked a little bit about the past, from 2015 to now, and I can talk a little bit where we are and where we are going. Let me separate the question in two parts. First, into what we're doing and what products and how we're enabling the ecosystem. And I want to double click on the open part of it, which is very important. So in terms of what we have been doing in XR, actually, my first strategy internal deck in around 2015 on XR, it's still valid. I talked about 4 pillars that we needed to build to be successful in XR, not only as a business for Qualcomm, but enabling the industry. First is, of course, the processors, right, the chips, both for raw compute, but also in connectivity. So that's the number one. The number two is technology for spatial computing. And by the way, I'm not just copying what one of the newest companies into the space started calling this a spatial computer. We actually have been talking about spatial computing for a while. And I don't think, I think even Magic Leap and others have been talking about the word spatial computer. But going back to, we have the first pillar, which is the chips. The second, which is technologies for spatial computing, right? And what is that? Is really kind of the perception tech for user understanding, head tracking, hand tracking, eye tracking, all kind of user inputs and tertiary set outputs as well, and then the environment understanding. Where's the floor? Where's the table? What objects are in my field of view, and so forth. So we work on these technologies, and let me just make a pause to explain why we work on these technologies. Twofold. One is because our customers need these features, this functionality, and if Qualcomm can provide it as a horizontal platform, that helps more people come to market. But even more important is that these let's call these features, right? These algorithms for spatial computing, we have to harden them. We have to put them in silicon, because if you want to have a glass that is less than a watt, right, but have all this AI, computer vision, that I talked about, for user understanding and world under, it's a lot of compute. And you want to do that in less than a watt. And you can't do this in the cloud because it's super low latency. And it's going to actually incur more power if I try to transmit all this camera information to the cloud. I have to do it locally. How do I do it locally? If I just run these algorithms on the CPU, it's going to itself run more than a watt. just these core algorithms. So I have to create custom silicon, custom IP blocks. It's almost like we have the GPU for graphics. I have a video engine for video. I have an ISP for camera. I need an IP block for XR. And that's why it's so important for us to develop on that second pillar of core technologies. So first pillar, the silicon, second, the technology. There's also a lot of multimedia technologies, reprojection on the display and so forth, but that's the second pillar. The third pillar is reference design. Building a reference design that can lower the bar for our customers to create devices, right? Of course, the more experienced OEMs, they leverage less. They look at our reference design, they may use it, they may not. But, if you are a smaller company, a startup, well, then the reference design really helps, get you started, working with ODMs and so forth. And the fourth pillar is working with ecosystem. When we started, in 2015, working with ecosystem, it was more talking about, partners in general, ISVs and enterprise players. But, more recently, we developed our own SDK, and we call it Snapdragon Spaces. It's essentially, a plug-in to, the Unreal Engine and Unity, but it follows OpenXR, right? We just wanted to have a tool to have developers and also OEMs that want to start working with our Qualcomm hardware, even before commercial products are out there, and that's Snapdragon Spaces. So those are the four pillars that we are developing or that we work on. I think we're getting a lot of traction in all of them. On the processor side, and this is what I think is really important to highlight. We have dedicated chips for XR. When we started, you look back into 2015, we took a mobile chip, a smartphone chip, the highest end smartphone chip, put it on a standalone. It was much better than having a smartphone on your face, but using the same processor with minor tweaks, that we go ahead and ask our mobile, my mobile peers to, hey, can you please put this feature on your phone chip, right? And that's how we started. But now we have dedicated chips, dedicated portfolio for XR, both targeting the VR MR kind of category and AR glasses. So we have these two. So in that sense, you ask me, how are we doing? It's excellent. It's a huge investment to do a new chip, and we can already fund and invest in dedicated chips for the market. On the customer traction, we already launched more than 80 devices. It sounds crazy, right? When we say 80, where are them? Well, of course, everyone knows about the Quest, and no doubt that's the most popular one. But, we also, in China, when you look into China, there are tens of devices that we launched in that market. Pico is, I think, the highlight, now part of ByteDance, but HTCs and Panasonic and, Lenovo, I think it's a big one. Lenovo, both with the VR and AR. So when you look at all of them, we are up to 85. And that's when, again, going back to your question, how are we doing? How can we get to 85 devices? It's not by working one by one, with big investments for Qualcomm. No, that's why we need the reference design. If it wasn't for the reference design, how can I support startups? And, I'm going to start transition to the open part of your question. That's why we one of the reasons we consider ourselves open, kind of horizontal, is that we're enabling not only the big players with our technology, with our processors, but startups as well. Looking to Lynx as an example in France, right? They built an MR headset using our XR2, using a lot of our technology, and so we are able to scale with this strategy. And I look at it very bullish, very optimistic about the future. I think that products like the just announced Quest 3, it's a step function, from the Quest 2. If you look into the XR2 Gen 1, which was on the previous Quest, and XR2 Gen 2, we have more than 2 times the GPU horsepower. We have more than 8 times the AI capability. So that's one. And then you look into the display, pancake lenses. You look at, how the devices are becoming smaller, lighter, more capable. So that's why, I continue to be very bullish that looking back at the mobile history, I'm seeing the same movie. It's almost like deja vu, from the smartphone creation to what we are seeing now. The second part of your question is open, right? And I think I addressed some of it already with our horizontal platform. That's, we like to think about ourselves as open because of that. But there's also, when we look into standards, very important. I think that for the market to flourish, we need standards. And, like in the mobile days, it was things like 3GPP, influencing, the how are we going to do wireless data and have, interoperability between infrastructure and the headsets and handsets. And so forth.
Patrick will want to geek out on distributed computing, but before we get there, I think everybody's asking 2 things in their mind. First, question we always ask, how far are we from those lightweight, sleek glasses? Can you open your crystal ball for us and give us your perception on that?
Yeah, I mean, I like to think as that's the Holy Grail. We all want one pair of glasses that can do both fully immersive and all day long. That is, transparent, optical, see-through. It's still long. It's not short time frame, but I think that I like to look at it as a North Star where we want to go, but I like to look at more into, hey, what can we do in the next 5 years, right? And I'm not sure we're going to get to these kind of glasses in 5 years. I think it's going to be probably a little bit more. That doesn't mean that I'm pessimistic. On the contrary, I think that a lot of progress can and will be made in the time span of 2 years. I think that today it's very separate, product categories. Let's think about when I say MR, what I really mean is a video pass-through, right? A VR headset with video pass-through. So VR MR, I think it's a lot is going to happen over the next couple of years. You saw Apple with their product, which is essentially an MR device. The Quest 3, amazing product that will really democratize access to MR. So I think you have these 2 extremes of products in terms of price points and target markets. But I think that MR is going to evolve very rapidly over the next 2-3 years. I'm bullish about it. And then when it comes to AR type glasses or smart glasses, we see 2 types. One is more, let's call it the smart glass. I don't even want to call it an AR glass, but really, glasses that have cameras that can do not only video recording, picture, image taking, but also do AI with it, right? There's a lot you can do just with cameras and some local AI. I think that going to be very powerful. And then from these smart glasses, adding a display that that now maybe it's not that 100-degree field of view, maybe even 30-degree field of view, but can provide a lot of value. If you think about a camera plus a small display, you can talk about navigation, you can talk about translation, language translation, real-time language translation, or for people that are hearing impaired, having subtitles as someone is speaking. I think there's, tons of applications that can happen, and this is now, right? It's not 5 years from now. It's technology that we can do now. That's the other product that we just announced, the AR1 that is targeted for these type of smart glasses. So I think that we're going to see great amount of progress in the smart glass category. It's a continuum, right? It's not in 6.5 years, I think we're going to get there. And again, I'm going to go back to the mobile example, right? When did everyone on Earth almost, right, had a smartphone? Well, it took years, right, for the phones to kind of mature. But if you start looking what we had in 2005, the progress that we made by 2010, it was just crazy. It was amazing. And I think that's the region that we're talking about where we are right now, with the first dedicated chips, the first dedicated displays, the first dedicated, and of course, content, right? Getting ready. So I'm bullish on growth over the next 3 years. I think in 3 years we're going to still see these two kind of disparate product categories. But then the Holy Grail kind of glasses. I'm going to stick to, I think, what most of your guests say. 10 years.
And one last question from me, Hugo, which probably our listeners are wondering about. You referenced to the Apple Vision Pro. So how do you guys look at what did this entry means for Qualcomm?
Well, I think it's a big endorsement to the XR and Metaverse industry, where one of the leading brands, consumer brand, technology brands of the world, also joins. I think it's big. It helps, I think, in particular with getting excitement with developers, trying new things. I think that, the products that we're enabling, they with our horizontal foundational technology, we can enable all tiers of products. I'm very excited with the Quest 3 type of product. Because of the being more accessible, right, to more people, and having amazing technology, amazing user experience. I think again the Apple Vision Pro brings awareness to both consumers, enterprise, and developers. But I think that in the short term, products like the Quest 3. I think have a bigger chance of getting much higher volumes.
So Hugo, we wanted to ask you a bit about use cases. So the new Fusion capability, it looks really promising, being able to merge that smartphone AR with head-worn AR, VR. For this hybrid experience, what use cases are you most excited about?
What we saw is engaging with developers. It's a big commitment for a developer to, let me build a full-on 3D, spatial application from scratch, right? And you have those developers, and they're great, and we really, work closely with them. But then there's a huge pool of mobile developers. I already have my app on my phone. What if, if the user has AR glasses, like, AR2-based AR glasses, can I have a touch of AR into my application? Let's say I have a game, right? And a shooting game or a racing game, and the game is still being played on the phone, But if I have my glasses on, now maybe I can have the map being seen on the, overlaid on top of the real world, maybe on the side of the phone, or an explosion, or, or if I have kind of a furniture type purchasing app where I still scroll, still the app on the phone, but when I click on a given couch, I can see the couch, in the real world as a 3D object. So that we feel can really lower the barrier for mobile developers to start experimenting with AR. So we see, that both in consumer and on enterprise customers leveraging it. I highly encourage the audience to watch our AWE keynote presentation, where we showed one application from Kitsch. This is a cooking app where you have famous chefs kind of telling how to cook, and then the example is very similar, where the app is still on the phone, but then with the glasses I can put timers on top of a pan, or I can put get the videos overlaid on the real world. The other one was with Red Bull. Really, really cool experience where they enabled, again, the app being on the phone, but I can take the video and put the video feed. I think they had it for downhill bike. You can see the video, the 2D video, but at the same time, I can put a 3D rendering of the mountain on a table and see, the bike going down, the trail. So it's that very immersive experience, but it's still it's a mobile app that if I have the user, I can pull out these experiences. So we're very interested. We're getting very positive reaction from developers around the globe on it.
That's good to hear. You also mentioned Qualcomm being a key player in automotive. Do you see a time where we can create experiences that work on, a phone, a head-worn headset, and a windshield as well?
Definitely. But, I'm going to just have that question to bridge on a little bit of what Patrick was talking about distributed compute, because I think, he has something on the car as well. I think the vision we have for split compute is where you have your glasses on that, hey, again, you want to have it less than a watt, or has, as low power as possible, not only because of battery life, but also because of thermals, right? I mean, I cannot dissipate a lot of heat in my glass. But look, many experiences, I need 10 watts. I need 50 watts. I need maybe even 100 watts. I cannot put that on my face, right? So it needs to be 1 watt. So I need to have kind of a split compute architecture where the glass can identify, a host compute, ideally nearby in proximity, but also, in the cloud. And then I can have this distributed compute architecture with my phone, with my PC, with my car. But I also think that it's about how do we have these devices work together depending on the input and output available. What do I mean by input and output? If someone has a glass on, I have the inputs, from the glass. I have my hands, I have my eyes, I have everything, and I have a display in front of my eyes. So even if I'm in the car, I may not use the windshield. I may use, my what's on my glass. If I don't, well, then I can go to the car. So I think that's kind of the world we are thinking and designing for. And what we want is to make the lives of developers the easiest as possible, the open as possible, and for something that, of course, has value to consumers.
In terms of communication infrastructure, can we do this on 5G? Or we had Michael Trebia, the CTO of Orange here, and you're talking about 6G and software-defined networks. Can we achieve that level of connectivity in the current generation of telecommunication infrastructure?
Yes, we definitely can from let's call the air interface, right? The 5G air interface, the 5G connectivity. But I think it's not only the air link, it's not only the wireless link, it's also, hey, where is that compute at? Are you putting, GPU farms on every base station? Is it on your local neighborhood? Is it, one in the whole country? Because there's latency. Every hop, adds a latency. And so it's not only the air link, but I think from a 5G, we have many R&D programs at Qualcomm on that and showing that's possible. And we actually we have R&D. We showed it at the last Mobile World Congress in February this year, showing glass to phone to cloud. So there's distributed processing at 3 levels. There's some in the glass, some in the phone, some in the cloud. And actually, between phone and cloud, you can dynamically switch. Meaning, if I have a good 5G connection, then, okay, move more to the cloud. 5G connection starts to degrade. If you start seeing a degradation in signal, move more of the processing to the phone. And of course, you're not going to have the 300 watt, graphical experience, but you still maintain a level of service.
So Hugo, really appreciate you being on the show. Love you sharing your optimism for the future. As you know, we like to wrap things up by asking if you'd like to give a shout out or two to any person or organization.
First of all, thanks so much for inviting me here, sharing a bit more about what Qualcomm is doing to enable the open metaverse. But in terms of shout outs, I mean, definitely, my engineering team that is working relentlessly on, on new chips, on technologies, on Snapdragon Spaces. But also, I think we all need to appreciate, what Meta is doing, the big investment that they have in the space. I want to, really, they have been great partners of ours. And, with the launch of the Quest 3 and the new Ray-Ban stories, I think that is really going to help, drive us forward. But, it's not only Meta. We work with many different partners, customers in the world. And, it's a good set of people that is hard to give all the shout outs. But definitely on the other people that I think get less attention, like the ODMs, a few ODMs like Cortec, display manufacturers, and a lot of these brands that get less known, but they're really helping drive the hardware ecosystem.
So, Hugo, thank you so much. You're a true metaverse pioneer. We're very honored to have you with us today. And you give us an amazing glimpse into Qualcomm, a company that, as you said, is not the first top of mind company, but is so important in our industry. So thank you for doing this for us today. And a big thank you to our listeners. We did 56 episodes over the first 4 seasons. We're into season 5, and we're super happy to get the feedback. You can follow us on LinkedIn. We have a page there where you can find all those episodes, and on our webpage, buildingtheopenmetaverse.org. So thank you, everybody. Thank you again, Hugo and Patrick. We'll see you soon.